Alright, we got some new footage of Lakers center Deandre Ayton working out his game for the upcoming season. You know, we haven't talked about him that much since he signed with the team and made the big move by picking their team over other interested teams that wanted to sign him. But he has been quietly working out, and from this video alone he looks to be in great shape. You know, I often forget about how talented NBA players are, and this is a good reminder of it. You know, even for 7-foot centers that often don't get credited for it or aren't really viewed in that form or fashion, much like Deandre Ayton himself, this video really shows it. I mean, we can see him taking guys off the dribble, finishing at the rim with both hands, and finishing at the rim in a variety of ways, knocking down 3-point shots, isolating, showing off his dribble package, and all around looking a lot more talented and showing a lot more than we typically see or really expect from Deandre Ayton. It really tells you about how good NBA players truly are and the casual fan how far we are away from them. But with that in mind here and watching this footage of him on the court and working on his game for next season, what will be his role for their team next season, meaning the LA Lakers? Obviously coming to a new team and joining a team with Luka Doncic, LeBron James, and Austin Reeves. How much different will it be for him? Will it be better, worse? How much will his mindset have to change to accept his new role with their team? How will that role be different compared to a team like Portland or with the Phoenix Suns before that one? What will be different? What will be the same? And will it be a good fit for him? We'll talk about that and what he does need to accept during today's video and with this outlook with Deandre Ayton. And well, I think both we and Deandre Ayton himself has to start with that last part, aka accepting his role for their team next season. I mean, I hate to say it, but he definitely has been kind of bad about this in the past and definitely has had issues with it. I mean, at least according to rumors and prior reports with him not accepting his role and kind of being pushy against it. If the offense isn't revolved around him, if he's not as big of a part of a game plan as he wants to be, he can tend to lack commitment on the court and not be a team player in that regard too. So now coming to a team like the Lakers where he very likely won't be a top 3 option, falling behind obviously Luka Doncic, LeBron James, even like the Austin Reeves that might make him a 4th option, even splitting after that point with Rui Hachimura, even maybe a Jake LaRavia off the bench at times, so he won't be a top 3 option and he definitely won't have a high usage rate. That's something he can't be expecting to be more of than he really will be for them, or should be for that fact, and he's got to be aware of that and very acceptable of that too. I mean, if you want to talk about it with usage rate and pointing to it from a numbers standpoint, I'd be looking at the 2020-2021 NBA season with Deandre Ayton, which was actually one of his best and most efficient too. However, it definitely wasn't a high usage rate for him that year, only 18.2%, which is a career low for him. But in spite of that, it was one of his best years and definitely his best as a team player in my opinion. That was the year that Phoenix made a run to the NBA Finals and he was a gigantic part of it. No, not by putting up 20 plus points per game or being a top 2 option for their team, but by simply being the ultimate team player for them, which is something that's not normally associated with Deandre Ayton anymore, unfortunately. But going back to that season, he definitely was that player for them and definitely was simply that guy for their team. Only averaging, and I say only in quotation marks here, 14.4 points per game, but on a very efficient 62.6% from the field, even better during the postseason. Ayton becoming the first player in NBA playoff history to average 15 plus points per game, 11 plus rebounds per game, while shooting above 65% from the field. So again, simply being the ultimate team player for them, filling his role to a T and really to perfection with them, running the pick and roll game perfectly with CP3, being a great 3rd or 4th option to them and even behind Mikal Bridges at times, but it simply didn't matter to him, at least not at that point, and he's really got to get back to that. Even talking about his defense, as that was another big pro to his game back then. You know, it sometimes still is, but he is coming off his worst defensive year in my opinion, having a negative 0.4 defensive BPM rating, also having a negative defensive EPM rating, so although you might be able to find some defensive metrics that point to him being positive, and yes, he definitely can be on that level as a defender, it's not been very consistent for him dating back to his time with Phoenix, so he does have to get back to that in my opinion. And well, like I said, that's really the first thing that Deandre Ayton does have to accept with their team, simply getting back to being a team player and filling whatever role that's required of him, not caring about the points per game, his usage rate, or how revolved he is within their offense or game plan in general, simply caring about being the best role player they can for their team and the best all-around team player they can as well. That's really got to be first and foremost for him. But if he can get past that, hopefully he can, and I'm definitely rooting for him, He does appear to have the mindset for it and definitely has said all the right things about it so far. But if he can get past that, then we can talk about what he should do after that point. And well, that's kind of up for debate here, and I don't really care about it from a points per game standpoint. I'm looking at it more on offense from a teammate perspective and how he'll operate with LeBron James and Luka Doncic, which will definitely be a lot more pick and roll oriented. I mean, we've seen it a little bit between Luka Doncic, LeBron, and Jackson Hayes. Obviously a very good lob threat for them, but definitely not on the talent level of a Deandre Ayton. And no, again, I'm not talking about points per game with Deandre Ayton. I'm not talking about him getting the ball a lot and doing stuff with their team from the post. I'm simply talking about him and how he might operate with those two on the court, meaning Luka Doncic and LeBron James. And well, in that regard, he definitely will be a great pick and roll partner for them. Whether you're talking about being a finisher at the rim or finishing above the rim, aka being a lob threat, he definitely can do that for them. Last season, Deandre Ayton was tied for 16th in dunk points per game, averaging over 6 of them per game, actually being tied with Luka Doncic's former teammate and LeBron's former teammate and both of their former centers. Yes, I mean Derek Lively and Anthony Davis. He was tied directly with them last season. So now pairing him with Luka Doncic and LeBron on the court, that should be a pretty damn good pick and roll pairing between them. Whether you're talking about the lob threat ability, him being a dump off guy around the rim, somebody to dump it off to, and he actually has a good touch around the rim, not afraid to actually go to a move, and actually does have go-to moves around the rim. Unfortunately, unlike Jackson Hayes, I really can't say that for him. I'm a lot more confident in Deandre Ayton to fill that role for their team, and being a lot more productive in that role for their team too. Not only for his finishing at the rim or finishing above the rim, but then for his ability to finish outside the paint, meaning that he does have a jump shot to his game. And although it's not a 3-point shot, at least not yet, and at least not reliably yet, he does have a pretty damn good mid-range shot. I mean, if we pull up his 2024-25 NBA season shot chart, Deandre Ayton was pretty efficient from the mid-range. If we're looking at the free throw line, he shot roughly 51%, and that's well above average, especially for a big man like himself. From the right wing here, shooting 50%, even more above average, and that's absolutely elite in the NBA. I mean, any mid-range shooter, if you're shooting about 45%, that's pretty damn good, but if you're at about 50%, that's great. Even from the left corner here, which isn't his specialty and not his sweet spot on the court, even shooting an average 42% from the field. So pretty damn good for Deandre Ayton. He can not only pick and roll, but even pick and pop a little bit. You know, again, not quite to the 3-point line, but for a mid-range shot and kind of pull the defender away with him. Whether that gives more room for himself to get off a shot or more room for LeBron or Luka to get to the rim. That's an obvious pro to his game and a pro that will actually benefit more teammates around him too. So in my opinion, that's kind of the offensive outlook here with Deandre Ayton. Simply not try to do too much and simply be the best pick and roll partner that he can be. Whether that's with Luka Doncic, LeBron James, and or Austin Reeves, be a great pick and roll partner with them, or even a pick and pop partner. Simply get what he gets in the court, whether that be a lob at the rim, a dump off around the rim, kind of popping to the mid-range, or maybe for the very occasional 3-point shot. That's what Deandre Ayton will be looking at here, and he'll actually be set up great to do it too. Having much better playmaking talent around him now compared to back in Portland, which was actually some of the worst in the entire NBA, so this should feel like heaven for him coming to play with Luka Doncic and LeBron James, who will likely get more quality shots and get him more open than ever before, or at least since playing with Chris Paul back in Phoenix. So again, that's the offensive outlook with Deandre Ayton, but how about the defensive outlook? What will he be looked at to do for their team, and what will his expectations be with their team too? Well, obviously he'll be their rim protector, their last line of defense, so that's something he's got to prioritize. Not fouling too much, actually being committed to doing it, and not taking plays off on defense. That's number one for Deandre Ayton. And well, he has shown the ability to do it. Again, it wasn't really last season or any part of the past 2 years now with Portland. Obviously having good moments and still shining through of what he can do for a team, but he's got to get back to being more consistent. That's got to be priority number one for him again. Actually caring about it and buying into that part of his role again, not simply taking plays off and not caring too much about it, only when he wants to or when he feels like it. That's got to become a much bigger priority for him. And well, like I said, he has shown the ability to do it, being the last line of defense for a team that made it to the NBA Finals. Ayton still only being 27, so he's definitely not too old to get back to that, not too old to get back to being a high-level rim protector, even a top 10 rim protector in the entire NBA at one point. He definitely does have the ability to get back to that. Though apart from simply an effort or prioritization standpoint, talking about it more from a scheme standpoint, you know, Deandre Ayton, I think they probably will do some more switching on defense, not simply have him do drop coverage the entire time. If you watch Ayton play, and again when he is showing commitment on defense, he actually can move his feet pretty well. You know, he can't switch 1 through 5 in every matchup, but does have the ability to move his feet and not get completely taken advantage of or blown by in defense. Does have the ability to keep up with wings, and some guards at times will be able to do that, and that definitely will help out their defense. That way they don't get Austin Reeves or some guard onto a center over helping on defense. That can tend to be a problem. But now with Deandre Ayton, that definitely should help with them. I imagine that JJ Redick will employ it and add it to a big part of their defensive game plan. You know, whether it's a switch happy scheme at times, obviously it will still be drop coverage here and there, might even do the occasional zone defense. Ayton's a pretty good fit for it, and a better fit for it compared to Jackson Hayes. Overall though, here again, it really does come down to one thing with Deandre Ayton. That's simply being commitment and or effort on the court. If he can get past not being a big part of their game plan, not being a top 3 option for them offensively, not even being a big part of their offense at times, and simply care about being the best teammate and best role player they possibly can be for their team, the kind that affects winning rather than numbers that don't really mean that much, then he could definitely be a gigantic part for their team and one of, if not the biggest role player piece in their entire team, as he really could be that important in my opinion. But with all of that being said here, what do you guys think? What is your outlook and expectations for Deandre Ayton with the Lakers next season? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But I think that'll pretty much do it for this one. And if you enjoyed the video, then I'll greatly appreciate it if you dropped a like, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and hit that notification bell to never miss out when I upload a video. But as always, thank you for watching and have a great day or night.